Okay, the last part is solving quadratics by taking square roots. So when do we use this? We use this when the x term is set to equal a number or the middle term is missing. So when there is no v. Okay, now you can factor these if they're factorable. You can also use the quadratic formula because the quadratic formula will work on all quadratic equations where you have an a, b, and a c. You need to isolate the variable here and solve. Make sure to include both answers. So in this first one, if I'm going to isolate the variable, I'm going to add 5 to each side. I get x squared equals 49. So what undoes a square? The square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides because whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So x equals 7. Now at first thought you're going to think x equals 7 and you're going to be done. But we need to include both answers. So if you look back at this step right here. So if we look back at x squared equals 49. And we think to ourselves, if I have 7 in there, 7 squared is 49. So positive 7 in there squared is 49, but also negative 7. Negative 7 squared is also 49. So that's what they mean. You need the positive and the negative. Okay? All right, here we're going to add 3. We get n squared equals 50. Square root, square root. Now 50 is not a perfect square, so we need to break that down. We still need the plus or minus, so we can break it down to 25 and 2. So that's going to give me plus or minus 5 square root of 2. Okay, this one I could factor. This one I could either do it this way or use the quadratic formula because this is an irrational answer. Okay, here this is 25 times v squared, so I need to divide by 25. You get v squared equals 9 over 25. Square root both sides. So v equals plus or minus, square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 25 is 5. Again, I could have factored on this one also. Alright, so let's go down here. Also, this is the only method that you do not get equal to 0. So here we're going to subtract 3. I get 3x squared equals 207. And then I'm going to take 207 and divide it by 3 because I have to get the variable by itself before I do this part. And when I divide it by 3, I get x squared equals 69. Square root, x equals, so 69 is not a perfect square, so plus or minus the square root of 69. And it won't break down because 3 will go into there 23 times, and those are both prime. Alright, here we're going to add 10. I get 3m squared equals 36. I'm going to divide by 3. So m squared equals 12. Square root, m equals plus or minus 4. Square root of 3. So m equals plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Alright, I'm going to let you try that one, and then you can get with me. So let's look at the last part here. On this one, you would add 12. You get 9 over 5x squared equals 12. I need to get rid of this 5, so I'm going to multiply by 5 on both sides. So 9x squared equals 60. I need to divide by 9. You could have also just multiplied by the reciprocal. Take the square root of both numbers. So x equals plus or minus. Now I'm going to split this into 2 square roots because it's the same thing as the square root of 60 over the square root of 9. So that's going to equal, I can break 60 down to 4 and 15. And then 9 will be 3. So that's going to equal plus or minus 2 square root of 15 over 3. If you're still struggling with breaking these radicals down, then you need to make sure you go and do some practice or get with me for practice. All right, so you try this one, we work the same way. Let's look at this one. So here I could distribute first, or I can just go ahead and divide by 2 on both sides. So I get x squared plus 3 equals 12. Subtract 3, x squared equals 9, square root, x equals plus or minus 3. All right, let me know what questions you have.